Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at our exercise 4 of our DBMS class. So in this exercise we are asked to watch these tutorials, 1, 2, 3 parts of the tutorial. Then we're asked to download the Eclipse IDE, which I have done here. As you can see, this is my Eclipse, which is running right now. Also we have to download our Tomcat 9, which I've also already done here. So it's in my user files. You can see there's like a Tomcat. And then this is already running right now, so I don't want to run it again. So the next thing is to go to Eclipse and then go to servers and then download the database files for exercise 4. So I have done that. As you can see here, this is my Eclipse IDE, and in the left side of the section we can see that I have my database master server, which has all the files for this exercise, and here are my Tomcat servers as well. So yeah, that's about that. And the next thing is to make sure that my Java version, I have to select that in my library, and here you can see I can just quickly go to my properties here and then go to Java compiler. I'm running it on Java 17 because that's the one that I've installed right now. And for the project phases, here you can see it's in version 17, right? So yeah, configure that. The next step is to change the user ID and password that I used at my database server. So here in my MySQL server, if I go to my users, so I have a user named John, which has the password as pass1234, and I have to configure that in this file. So if you can see here, I already changed that. So it says username John, the password is pass1234, and yeah, I'm using the same code as before, so the same database will be used here. And here was the next step. So next step is to go to the people.jsp and run it as run as a server, and you have to explain all those commands. So yeah, I'll be doing that now. So here it says to go on people.list. Then I'm gonna click it run on server, and I'm gonna run it on my Tomcat server. And there you go. Here you can see that it's running on my Google Chrome right now. So this is the people management main menu. On here we can list all people, which is this is all the data that I had from the previous exercises. You can see that these are the data that I had in my database server. So these are the contents that I can see here. Also, I can edit and delete these items. I also add new people. So I'll show you these functions and explain to you how this works with the code right now. So yeah, let's just start out with this function. So it's called people.doa.java. So in this file you can see that this has all the packets here, and then this has like all the collection records that we want to give, that is our username and password here. And then this is used like for insert people. So as I explained in the previous exercise, so for the insert commands we are preparing some statements. So these statements will be used in these question marks in order, so that the one will go on the first one, the second will go on the second, like that. So you can insert data values in that. So this function is used for delete. So this delete function is we can delete student where their ID is something which we'll select. So if we want to delete this ID, if we click delete, then it's going to take this ID value here, and then it's going to delete that value. So for that, this function will be used, and the update function here, same as how I explained delete. I'm going to click edit here, and then I'm going to change any value here. Let's say uh, I will remove the last name, for example, and then save it. So if I click that save button, it's gonna count as an update. That takes as an update function. So it's just gonna send those values in and change it in the database. And same for get people. Get people is like listing all the people that we have right now. And So this is a function, JSP file, which I used to run this code. This is the HTML file, which you can see here. So it has an HTML doc type. It has like title, head, and body. So in the head, we have the title, which says People Management Application, which you can see on the top. And then the body, we have People Management Main Menu. And here in this website, you can see that it has add people and list all people, right? So these things are hyperlinks, which is connected to which are like a reference link for a new page. So if I click add new people, it's gonna take me to this page, so which says new, right? So this we're gonna make it by saying referring it as new here. So whenever I click this link, it's gonna take me to the new page. So this new page, I will explain it later where that's located. And the same goes with the list all pages here. So if I click the list all pages here, it's gonna take me to another link which says list here. So it's different from this one, as this one says new. And right, so it's gonna list all those things. So let me just go here and go for the next. So these are HTML functions that we are using to display a table of the IDs and names that we have in our database right there. So this C for each is a JSTL core function which you're gonna use. So this means that for every people object present in list peoples, we are gonna display them by displaying their attributes specifically by saying people.id, people.name, and people.address, and people.status. So we're gonna list everything out. When we click list all people, then it's gonna list everything out here. Yeah. So whenever we process a command, it's gonna go through the control servlet here. So this is the control servlet. So whenever we're gonna give a command, it's gonna go to this page, this JSP file, Java file, and then it's gonna process it from here. So this is going to be like it's gonna get connected to our database server and also other Java files from here. So here you can see that we have given the, let's start with the cases, right? So if we click the list function, which is like list all the people here, so this is called list come function. So when this is called, it's gonna print out the action is list. So right here you can see that this is where it prints out these stuff. So the action is list, and then if the action is started, it's gonna say 0, 0. We have written it here so that we can find out if there are any errors in the code, and it's gonna call out this function called list people, and then it's gonna send the request and response. So the list people, we can find it out here. So this function, it is used to get like list all the people from the database. So it sends a request to list people, and then it gets all the data from there. So this can be used to get all the data members of our table. And the second one here is new. So this can be used when we are here. If we're gonna add a new people, and then let's just say that the name is Jake, yeah, and then the address is gate 12 gate, oh, I must say, okay, 12 Gate Street, just for example, yeah, and then he's living in Troy, and then our pin code, let's just say 56771 and the status is senior. And then if we're gonna click save, this is gonna get added here. We can see that. So if we go back to this page, we can see we have created a new. Whenever we hit the new button, it's gonna go for show new form request. So that's why we see a new web page there, and that show new form is this function here. So this function is gonna get that new page with interface for us so that we can see the page. And then whenever we hit the save button, it's gonna count as like an insert operation, right? So it's gonna see insert people. So this insert people request function is right over here, you can see here. So for this function, we're gonna get the parameter that is name, address, status, and then we're gonna print out that name address status here, and then we're gonna say that this function can be added to an object, and that object we're gonna add it to our database and then print out all the contents when we click save. Right. So the next one here is where we left off. Yeah, it's delete. So when I click delete here, let's see if I want to delete what I added right now. So when I click delete here, it's gonna delete that from my database. And how this works, so here you can see that whenever delete is called, you just have to use goes for the delete people function, which is located right over here. So what this delete people function does is, so it gets the ID number of the person which I want to delete, and then it sends a parameter to the people.dabo, which is the file over here. So it's gonna send this file over here to delete it, and the delete statement is right over here. So it's gonna delete the ID which I sent right here. So it's gonna prepare the statement for the delete. So it's gonna delete from student where ID is 5. In our example, we deleted the 5th one. So it's gonna replace this question mark with 5, and then it's gonna delete it from the table. Right. So let's go to the control servlet here again, and yeah, and then we have the edit button. So edit button, if we click the edit, it's gonna go to show a new form. So this is the show new edit form here. So this form, it's gonna pop up this JSP, which I'm gonna open right now. So this is the JSP, that is the HTML file which gonna use here to show the new form. So what this form has is, if we can see here, sorry, yeah, here, if I want to edit this person here, and this form, it's gonna be called a new JSP file, and this is that JSP file. So in this JSP file, we have add new people and list all people like previous ones, which can be seen right here, are these two links. And then here we're gonna have edit an existing people, so we just done that. And then it's gonna say the what type of thing we want to change, the name, address, and status, right? So we just have to change whatever we want, and then finally we're gonna click enter, and when we click enter, it's gonna go back to this function, the control servlet, right? And then it's gonna go to the update here. So it's gonna get updated. So if you're gonna see the update, it's gonna call update people, and this update people right over here. So it's gonna send the values that we change to our server so that it can change the values in our database and then display it all right over here. So yeah, here if we're gonna change our name to, let's say, just Q, yeah, we just leave it like that. We're gonna hit save, and then we go back here, we're gonna see that. So list action update people finished, right? So we're gonna change name Q. So we just change this. If you can see here, it says change, and the update people is finished, and it's gonna get and post from our database, and even that has started. And the list action is, then we're gonna list all the data that we have. So it's gonna call the list people, and even that has started and that has finished. We have two things here. Just know that where the error has occurred, if we had any while doing the program. For example, if the list people has started, that means we have all zeros here, and it has not ended. We know that the function list people has started, and that's where the error actually occurred. So we can actually do and check that. So that's why we have our numbers here, which can be easier for us to recognize and fix if there are any errors. So that's why you have that. So I think that's about it for this exercise and this web page. Yeah, let me just go over once more if we have left out anything. So we covered insert form, list. So these are like the list table, the JSP that we are going to use there. People list, we already showed that. Yeah, so we have covered everything. Yeah, I think that's about it. If we have let's see just one more time, says yeah, JSP file, and yeah, explain the overall structure using DBMS. I sent a slide with color quality diagram and then followed the diagram to do the demo. Okay, so I will now show you the color quality diagram that we have created for this HTML file to show how this works. Alright, so let's see the diagram which I have here. So whenever we give a web page input, so whenever we get an input in a web page, which is right over here, right, where is it? Yeah, here. So whenever we click anything in our input file, and it just directly goes over to our JSP file which has the code. So for example, here we can see that here we have the JSP code for, let's say, edit, right? So it goes to this form. So whenever we click edit, it's go to this form, and then from here we're gonna access our control servlet, which is going to, you can see here, it's gonna go to the control server Java file program, and then it's gonna, from there it's gonna go to people DAO, and then from there we're gonna access our database server, and then we're gonna change our values from there. So here you can see that from this it goes to the control server program, which example we clicked edit, right? So it's gonna go to, so whenever we click the update button, it's gonna go to this page right here, so the update people. So in this we're gonna say that we're gonna go for people.dao, so it's gonna call the people.dao function, so it's gonna go for people.dao Java here, and then from here, since we are going for an update, that is, we are gonna search this one. So this one we are gonna see that it's gonna connect to our MySQL server. It's gonna use the connect function, and then we're gonna update our values here, and then it's gonna get our values updated in our database server. So whenever that happens, our database value gets updated. But wait, if we do that, how does it show that whenever we click save, then how does this page come up, right? So here you can see, so whenever the value gets updated, it gets back to the people DAO server which it's gonna use, and then it's gonna go to control server here, and then back to our people.jsp file which we're gonna use. That's gonna display our web page output. So whenever we are done with the statement, when we click the save button, now we want to display those, right? So we go for show function, that is like list all people function, which is in the people.io file, and then it's gonna list all the peoples which we have here, and this function is gonna send it over to our control servlet here, where we have the show list people here. So it's gonna list all the data from where we got here, and then this data is gonna go to our list.jsp here, and then this list.jsp is gonna get the values from there, and it's gonna display it in our web page right here. So that's how this thing works, and that's the diagram I got for it. And yeah, so that should be about it for this exercise. If you feel like I missed out anything, or something needs any fixing, please do let me know, and I will make sure I'll do that. Thank you for watching. Yeah.